Hey there, Rick Sage, recording at the Rimrock Studios in Bishop, California. Welcome to Season 2 of the Outdoor Biz Podcast, where I speak with retailers, brand managers, athletes, executives, and others in the outdoor biz and share their stories, tips, advice, productivity tricks, and ideas you can use to take your career or business to the next level. Today's podcast is brought to you by WordPress. I've used WordPress to build a number of websites, including Stillwater's Consulting and the Outdoor Biz Podcast. There are a number of themes and plugins available both free and for purchase, enabling you to easily create the custom look and feel you want. If you're starting an online business, publishing a blog, and looking to take your online presence to the next level, visit theoutdoorbizpodcast.com/WordPress and get going today. With simple installation tools and thousands of themes to choose from, you'll be up and running in no time. Go to theoutdoorbizpodcast.com/WordPress and get your site launched today. Hello again, everyone. This episode is with Jeannette Stawski from the Association of Outdoor Recreation and Education. Jeannette talks about her career in outdoor rec and ed and her experience with AORE and the great work they do. Enjoy. Welcome to the show, Jeannette. How's it going this morning?
It is going great. How are you?
I'm doing great. A little cold out there, is it?
It is. We've got a high of 32 today, so it's cold, but not a little balmy compared to last week or so.
Yeah, your temperature swing was about, 50 degrees or more?
You've got it.
Wow.
We've gotten down into a true winter here in Michigan.
That's amazing. Well, better you than me, I guess. We're finally getting moisture here in Bishop, which we much desperately need. So how did you? Let's start with how you got introduced in the outdoors. Looks like your outdoor career has been, in your life, your entire life, from the research I did.
Yes. Yeah, that's correct, actually. So I grew up in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I'm the only girl. I have three brothers and a father who are kind of very active outdoors, and so really, my introduction to the outdoors started with camps, YMCA camps, and then just kind of took off from there. So my father was a camp counselor just south of Grand Rapids, and then I, too, followed in his footsteps. And from there, that led me to whitewater rafting, to conservation work, to leading a program at the University of Michigan, and to the ED, and over the course of many, many years.
That's awesome, yeah. And you have a BS in natural resources, and it looks like you ran the Outdoor Adventure program. Was that a program for students to rent equipment and go take, climbing and rafting and stuff?
You've got it. So, so I did my work here in Ann Arbor at the School of Natural Resources and Environment, and then I spent my summers during that time as a whitewater rafting guide out in Glacier National Park. And then after finishing that, I actually came back to Ann Arbor and then ran Outdoor Adventures. And you're exactly right. So we ran trips, programs, we ran rental center, we had a climbing wall, we led expeditions in different countries.
Oh, wow.
We hosted wilderness medicine courses and film festivals. Those are kind of all the aspects of our program.
That's very cool. I have a degree in outdoor recreation from Cal Poly Pomona, but our Adventure Center was not that evolved. We didn't do international trips or wilderness medicine, but that sounds fun. I'll bet that was a blast, huh?
It really was. Yeah, it was a great experience. It really, really grew the program with the students. Again, even like the climbing wall I mentioned, that came after many, many years and was the leadership of students to kind of have that vision and bring the sport here to kind of the lowlands in Michigan. Not a lot of hills or mountains to climb, right. but that's kind of where the climbing industry was kind of a neat place to kind of have that foresight and work with the department to build it. So pretty cool.
Very cool. And now you're involved with the Association of Outdoor Recreation and Education. Tell our audience a little bit about that in case some folks might not know what that's all about.
Yeah, you're exactly right. So the Association of Outdoor Rec and Ed, also known as AORE, is a 501c3 that serves college, university, military, and other municipal recreation programs. So that's kind of a big mouthful for saying those are both the academics who are teaching those type of programs, for leisure studies or tourism or recreation, both, adaptive therapy or whatnot. And then also the practitioners, people like me at the University of Michigan who run the climbing walls and the rental centers and lead caving trips and climbing and expeditions. So AORE serves as kind of the repository of knowledge. So how do we best serve those that we're leading on those trips, as well as someone who advocates for, access to our public lands, or how do we diversify kind of the outdoor industry with the people that we're serving on our campuses or on our military bases.
Gotcha. That's very cool. So do you guys go to Outdoor Retailer every year? I don't remember seeing you there. You've probably been there.
That's correct. I think this might be my 19th show.
Okay.
So we've been going there for a long time. And, we enjoy working with various vendor members, so kind of one aspect of our membership would be the manufacturers, but then also the other nonprofits that we work in conjunction with. So it's like
Right.
IMBA or the American Canoe Association or the outdoor industry.
Right. Very cool. And how'd you get involved with AORE?
Yeah.
Just through
so,
your work at the
again,
at the university?
yeah, I'm laughing there because I know I think probably at the intro I kind of gave you the full gamut, but my whole life has been working in the outdoor industry in some capacity, and I think that this is kind of what I was designed to do, is to kind of I love the outdoor classroom. I think it's a teacher like none other, and it helps us be at our best selves. And I just was able to kind of weave a career doing that work. So while I was the director at the University of Michigan of the outdoor program, you're kind of in this lonely space. You're this, I wouldn't call it an outfitter, but that might be the best,
Right.
analogy I could give.
Right.
But you're servicing this population, this greater Ann Arbor population and students. And that's where the association comes in, where the AORE kind of says, well, what are other Big Ten schools doing? What are other, small colleges doing? What are other, communities, Dayton County Rec and Ed, or
Right.
what is the military base doing to serve their people? And how can we bring that knowledge? What's happening in climbing wall administration, or
Right.
again, what's happening, how to get guides and get your permit to go outside. And so while I was working at the University of Michigan, I would attend the AORE annual conference. And I suppose like any other young professional, when I would go to the conference, I would say, well, how can I contribute back? How can I give to this association that I've taken so much from? And so that next step was serving on the board of directors. And I did that for just a quick spell. And then around that time, it became apparent that I might want to do something to the next level. So essentially, my husband and I created a management group, and we sought to win the bid for managing the national office for the association. So there were a couple of years there where I worked, at the university during the day, and then at night when the kids would go to bed, we would process registrations and update the website and do that type of work.
Right.
About a couple of years into that, one of my mentors suggested that I look into a certified association executive credentialing, and that's essentially the profession of association management. So I worked on achieving that for about 2 years, and then it became apparent the AORE was going to hire its first executive director, and I had been preparing for that behind the scenes and put my hat in the ring, and was able to secure the first ED role and resigned from Michigan and took the helm of AORE in 2011. So
wow,
that's
awesome!
Kind of the story there.
And you're the first and only so far.
That's correct.
Yeah, awesome.
I'm the first one, and working with the board to navigate that change from a 30-year-old nonprofit that's been all volunteer membership driven to one with the staff. So that's
awesome.
You're laughing, so you know that organizational change is hard, but we're doing a great job and having lots of successes with it.
That's great. And how has it evolved over the years? I'm sure your membership has grown. When did you hire your first staff, and how many staff do you have now?
Yeah, so we've grown kind of organically over the last couple of years. Right now the staff is a combination of both independent contractors that have certain areas of expertise, be it legal counsel or our accountant, an event management team, and things like that. And then the staff is still relatively small. It basically is myself and one other full-time employee here at the national office. That's not to say that my volunteers, both board members and then other kind of long-term volunteers, put in a lot of time. I mean, they're the people who do the lion's share of the work to run the committees and to help host the conference. It's really kind of an all hands on deck entity as we move forward.
Right.
And you're right. Our growth has been exponential. So I think when I first started, we had roughly 500 members at that time. Was hosting an annual conference with attendance around that point, and now we're playing upwards of 800 annual, both with membership and organization. So
good for you. That's awesome. Yeah, great job. Yeah.
No, well, thank you. I think that's. I don't necessarily think it's all me. It's been the team, and we've really just had a chance to really focus on what we're trying to do and how we can do it best to serve those who are taking people outside and facilitating these positive firsthand experiences. That's
very cool. And do you reach across all 50 states, or are you concentrated in one area or another?
No, you've got it. We are across the United States and actually around the world. So we actually have, again, people in the NWR, so in our military, if they're running an institution or an installation, I should say, also our members, and we have service providers, so different vendors who have companies overseas, G-Adventures or Timberhill Outdoor Expeditions, who my members might choose to work with. And be sort of kind of the conduit to those resources for our membership.
That's great. And so do you have any major initiatives for 2018 that you want to? What's your big, hairy, audacious goal?
Well, we have lots of them.
I'm sure you have a bunch, right?
You got it. Yeah, we have a lot of ideas, but really the things that we're working or continue to work on is to influence, educate, and provide value to a diverse population on the value of outdoor recreation. So again, we really feel that the outdoor classroom is imperative for connecting, especially 18 to 24-year-olds with the environment, right, so they'll go on to protect these public places. We're also looking to diversify that membership. And as you know, the outdoor industry is continuing this evolution and growth of who we serve. And those people look and sound and act maybe differently than historically that we've represented. So we're looking to service this underrepresented and overlooked population very intentionally. So really leveraging our member programs to do that. Yeah. And then we're also just looking at designing transformational experiences that advance individual programs across the United States and people. So two of those examples would be our Women's Mentorship Leadership Institute, which is WMLI, and then our Emerging Leader Program. So we're looking to kind of close that gap for women outdoor educators who have the technical skills but maybe have moved on to upper management and now might sit behind a desk more than they build an anchor or guide up a mountain. And we're looking to help them feel more confident in those skills, kind of refresh those skills through an intentional program and a mentor matching. Right. And then our Emerging Leaders Program, we're working with the National Park Service to identify, that next generation of leaders and how they can help our membership be better at that work, and how we can help kind of expand our sphere outside of just higher education. Very cool. And what are your thoughts on the current state of outdoor recreation education? I mean, it seems like we've finally are getting more, play and more conversation around the fact that it is important. It does change lives. And some folks are getting, more resources. But at the same time, we've got this public lands battle going on with the current administration, which takes a bunch of energy to protect those lands too. So it's a shifting landscape. What are your thoughts on those two things? That's a mouthful. Sorry. No, it's good. It's good. Well, it's an exciting time, and I think that, I say it's an exciting time, not only as an optimist, but just looking at, here's our reality. And again, I've expressed a couple times in speaking with you the power of outdoor recreation. Yeah. And I really feel like it's a transformative space. It's a space where you learn how to work together with people who, again, when you're sitting around that campfire or over dinner, when you've had to cross that river and work as a team, or set up that belay, you learn about yourself. You learn about what you can achieve as an individual and as a group. You learn how to have great expedition behavior, how to put the needs of the group in front of yourself. And I think those are some critical skills that we need in today's age. And so really I'm trying to elevate that and work with our association and many others across the industry to do that work. And I think we also have to recognize that outdoor educators and recreation providers are kind of rugged individualists. Historically we have huge egos, and we've, how fast we paddled or how high we've climbed. And I think it's time to put that aside and really say, what is really kind of connecting to these landscapes, and why are these places worth protecting? I've got two kids, Gretel, who's 12, and Thor, who's 9. And I really feel like it's my job to make sure that there's natural spaces for them to be in and to move in. And that doesn't have to be the highest peak or the deepest river, but it's places in our parks. It's places here in Ann Arbor or in the state of Michigan that they can go and recreate, find themselves, and find their place in the world. So I think it's a great time. No, I support that 100%. I really think, too, that the fact that we're broadening out the definition of outdoor recreation is fabulous. I mean, it's a lot more inclusive now. It's getting more diverse. We need to work on that. But like you say, whether you're going to go paddle a river or go to the park, get outside. I mean, just go outside and be in nature and enjoy the great lands that we have. So that's good. Yeah. I think you're spot on. Yeah, and what outdoor activities do you participate in? You still paddle? You still climb? Not as much, I'm sure, with your kids, but not well anymore. Not like I don't think I necessarily ever was, but I actually was also an athlete in school, and so finding outdoor pursuits that I can do now that work for me as I continue to age. I've ended up with open water swimming and actually skate skiing. So I have taken open water swimming and actually just swam the Waikiki rough water, about a 2.5 open water swim. Wow, good for you. On Labor Day, and so that's kind of been something I'm doing there, and then some skate skiing. But I'm kind of like a giraffe on skates or on ice skates there. It's not pretty. And, but.
Well, at least you're still getting out. That's awesome.
Yeah, and getting the kids out. My husband and I, we've our goal is to try to get the kids to as many national parks as possible.
Oh, very cool.
And so we're big advocates of the Junior Ranger program and helping them see, these spaces, and so they'll develop that appreciation. And it's a great family time to get outside and do that too.
Yeah, exactly. That's awesome. Do you have any suggestions or advice for folks wanting to get into outdoor education?
I would say this. I would say getting outdoors is all about investing in yourself, and I mean that as like, you can teach anyone to climb, you can teach people to paddle, you can go on courses and learn those skill sets. But you really need to think about how you want to give back. If it's in communications, if it's in photography, if it's designing equipment that is better and more sustainable for the environment, to not limit yourself to what maybe we historically have said is an outdoor profession. It is becoming, it's legal services and learning how to advocate, and it's writing legislation, it's being active in government. So my advice would be to just find your passion, and then how you may want to apply that in that outdoor space. I do strongly believe in lifelong education, and I think there's nothing could go wrong with it by investing in yourself. If it's learning a trade, if it's going back to school, if it's getting the credentialing, but I think you need to spend some time in yourself, and so you can give back to others. I'm a big advocate of that.
Yeah, no, that's great advice. I think a lot of folks, at least when I started getting into the outdoor industry, you thought you had to go work retail, you had to go work for a brand, and you had to do this routine, and you kind of hacked your way into a career. And these days, as you say, it's gotten a lot more professional. It's gotten a lot more, business focused. So you don't have to be a designer or a climber. You can be an attorney. You can be an accountant. You can be something like that and still have a job in outdoor recreation or outdoor education. That's great. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. I'd also want to share, again, because I'm in the business of education, if I can, we've worked with, the AORE's worked with Transforming Youth Outdoors and Chris Rutgers, who have done just a fantastic job of creating resources for, again, high school students and college students and young professionals to look at what an outdoor professional career would look like. And they've created a lot of different kind of roadmaps, I guess you could say, how to work in a government entity, again, how to work as a guide. You mentioned retail. I've folded my share of sweaters in the past, and I've, again, I mentioned I've worked as a raft guide and lived in the teepee, and I've guided, and I've become an educator, all those different things. There's just not one standard thing.
Right. Where did you work outdoor retail?
Outdoor retail. I worked actually here in Ann Arbor. There's a place that it's an older spot. I'd gone out of business down on kind of Main Street, and I also worked for Eastern Mountain Sports. If that rings a bell from when they were popular here. So awesome. And also the Student Conservation Association. If you're familiar with SCA, has been another pivotal place in my career. I actually did an internship with them where I traveled across the United States speaking at schools about conservation careers, and then led a trail crew for some high schoolers in the Smoky Mountains. So again, that conservation aspect, SCA, connects service with nature and really moves those items forward. There's lots of work that has to be done in these public places, and there's people who need to get dirt underneath their fingernails, and it's a really neat marriage between the two. Well,
we'll link to all those things in the show notes. Do you have any daily routines you use to keep your sanity or health, meditate? I'm sure 2 little kids keep you pretty busy and fit.
They do. They keep me honest, that's for sure. So, I would actually, I'm glad actually you asked that question. This has been an area that I've needed to continue to work on. Again, as I talk about like a lifelong learner, is some self-care. And so I've really worked on some continued mindfulness, and that was kind of with some coaching leadership from some members, Russ Watts and Mike Doyle and others. And now I'm really active with this a journal called the Best Self Journal, and it really talks about setting intention and having some gratitude, and how you kind of, where you want to go. And it's kind of 90-day chunks. I'm very big into goal setting and kind of breaking those things down. Yeah. Working out, it's something that I do on a regular basis, and then just trying to, kind of slow down and realize all the good things that are going on while trying to move a nonprofit forward can be challenging. That's for sure. Yeah.
You got to focus on maintaining that optimism sometimes, right?
Yeah, there's I think, another mentor would say there's an infinite amount of ideas, there's a finite amount of resources, and just wanting to, again, with any cause, try to be there and move your membership forward, but make sure that it's a sustainable piece to do that.
Yeah, that's great. And do you have any favorite books, or do you give books as gifts?
Yeah, lots of books actually.
Uh-huh.
So, some of my favorite actually kind of fall into the Moleskine journal. So I actually like to give journals to people, but with maybe an inspirational quote or a note to them. And then one of my favorite gifts to give is actually the National Geographic Road Atlas, the Adventure Edition.
Great.
And I like to give people those things, and especially former students or former employees, and talk about where their adventures would take them.
That's
I
a great
also
idea.
really like. So maps and books, and one of my favorite books is called The Power of One by Bryce Courtney, and just really enjoy that. So if I find a used copy, I usually grab them and send them along to some colleagues.
Awesome, cool. We'll link to those in the show notes too. And how about a favorite piece of outdoor gear under $100?
That's a great question. So, I was thinking about this question of like, what do I like now versus what I like when I actually lived in the backcountry.
Right, it's different.
So I would say now it's things like my chopper gloves, something to keep my fingers warm, or some really good goggles, for swimming. But I would actually say a nice long inflatable mattress, and I've gone through different iterations. I am actually quite tall, and I did the whole like 3/4 length mattress, thinking it was going to save weight.
Yeah, we all went through that.
We all went through that. Yeah. So I would say my favorite is a new, actually one I just got from Big Agnes, long and a little extra wide, and I'm actually more comfortable. That's been my kind of guilty pleasure in the backcountry.
It's funny how we've all gravitated. Yeah, coffee. Yeah, we got to have coffee. Yeah, it's funny how we've all gravitated towards that comfort thing, though. I mean, back in the day, we were sleeping on those really thin 3/4 length Insulite pads, which were might as well be on the ground. But
you got it. You know what? I like saying I'm actually the person I used to mock. So when you were about 20 years ago, and you looked at the older people, and you said, "Gosh, my pack is lighter and my stuff is fancier." Now I realize. Now I'm that person who might have some more insights.
Yeah, we're a little more banged up too. The years have caught up with our shoulders and knees and whatnot.
You better believe it.
Is there anything else you would like to ask or say to our audience before we go to wrap?
Yeah, I guess I just, I want to thank you for the opportunity, but I probably would leave you with this. I think, the outdoors has just had such a positive and long-lasting impact on my life, and I really feel like that's the space where I've learned more about myself and what I'm capable of doing, and then how I can translate that into any environment, be it my community service or my family or my work environment. I think I mentioned before, I think the outdoors is a great teacher. It's honest, and it always wins. If you don't take care of yourself or the people you're with, you have to deal with those repercussions. And so I think as technology increases and there's other, society will always move forward, but there's something really honest about making decisions, working as a group to achieve something that you couldn't do as yourself. So I would leave with those thoughts, because we can, with others, we can do things that we can never do alone.
That's right. Yeah. Very well said. And how can people find you? Email, Twitter, LinkedIn? What's the best way to reach out and connect with you if they want to have any questions or want to follow up?
Yep. I can be reached at J Stawski, STAWSKI at AORE.org.
Cool.
Our Facebook is the AORE, Association of Outdoor Rec and Ed. Twitter is at AORE Outdoors, and Instagram is AORE Outdoors as well.
Excellent. We'll put links to all those in the show notes. Well, it's been great catching up. Will you be in Denver at OR?
That's correct. I'll be there.
Great. Well, it'll be great to meet you there.
You better believe it. Thank you so much.
Right. Thank you. Sounds good. Have a great day.
Take care.
All right, bye-bye. All right, I hope you enjoyed that conversation with Jeannette Stawski. That's STAWSKI. You can catch up with her on email at jstawski@aore.org, on Facebook at Association of Outdoor Recreation and Education, Twitter at AORE Outdoors, and Instagram at AORE Outdoors. You find links to everything we discussed in the show notes at theoutdoorbizpodcast.com/episode/73. I would be grateful if you visit iTunes, give us a rating and review, and be sure to share this episode or tell a friend about it. This episode is also supported by Scott Oshman and the Cairn Company. I had Scott on the show back in October. You can listen on episode 044. Thank you, Scott. I'd love your support too. Visit the support page on our website or go to patreon.com/theoutdoorbizpodcast and see the many ways you can support the show. Thanks for listening. If you want more of the Outdoor Biz Podcast, you can subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcast. Be sure and go to theoutdoorbizpodcast.com where you'll find all the episodes, show notes, and much, much more. Thanks for listening, and until next time, be sure to make time to get outside.